Okay, go.
Thank you so much all for coming here tonight. I'm really excited. I've been working with Wendy for a few months, and we're really excited and yeah, thrilled to share with you tips on health. Tonight with me is Dr. Gail Pearson. She's a really close friend of mine and my colleague for the past 2 years, doing this incredible journey into health, into wellness, and livelihood. So we're here to share tonight with you on health tips mainly, and why we're excited about a new science and new technology, and really what we see as the future of medicine. I'll hand you over to our beautiful Gail Pearson here. Gail, could you share a little bit about yourself, and then we'll ask Wendy maybe to just give us like a brief sort of welcome and outlook at who is here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Raji, and welcome everybody. It's a real pleasure for me to do this tonight, and it's an absolute pleasure because we had, well, actually Wendy had planned a cruise around the Sydney Harbour for all of her friends, to thank them for all the support that they'd given her over the years. Unfortunately, I was put into isolation when I came back from the States, so I was unable to make it. And at that stage, Australia started lockdown as well. So we had to cancel the whole tour, the whole cruise. And so much organisation had gone into it. Wendy had put in a huge amount of effort. She'd been backed up ably by Raji. And I was really looking forward to just cruising around the Sydney Harbour, having some high tea, listening to some amazing music. And it didn't happen, but here we are tonight. And we're super excited because we want to talk to you a little bit more about what we do. As I said, my name is Gail Pearson. I'm a specialist anaesthetist, so that means I've got standard medical training and then specialist training on top of that. I practice in Auckland, New Zealand, and I got into this about a year ago when I had a broken arm and I was feeling a little bit under par, but I had a chance to sit down and to read, and I had a chance to go through scientific papers. And my good friend Raji said, have a look at this, Gail. And I said, well, yeah, okay, but you know, I'm a scientist. I like to see the science behind things. She says, look at it again. And I did. And I started to think, this has got real bones. This is the future. This is the future of how we're going to behave.
Well, I had to bring an army of doctors to convince you to look at it. Excuse me, but
I wasn't easy. I wasn't easy at all. And if it's hard to convince me, then if I'm convinced, that should be a no-brainer for anybody else. So I thank Raji a huge amount for doing that, because what I've found is that what we're going to talk about tonight with health and wellness and the natural product that we've got, which is totally natural and totally outside my sphere of practice. You know, I deal with pharmaceutical drugs every day. So this is not something that I'm familiar with, but I'm now very familiar with it. And I'm just absolutely delighted. And I'm really excited to be able to tell you more about it tonight. But first of all, I want Wendy to welcome you and to say hello. Hi, Wendy.
Unmute. I'll unmute you. Just unmute her, Gail.
Okay. See if we can do it. I'll find you, Wendy. Hang on a minute. Here we go. Okay, Wendy, you're unmuted.
Not quite.
No, she's not unmuting. Okay.
Unmute. Ask to unmute. I have.
Okay, Wendy, well, you just want to be quiet tonight. That's fine. Perhaps at the end we'll get you to say something as well. So we'll kick it off now because we can't seem to unmute you. So that's all okay. All right. So let's get started. And we were talking about health tonight. And what I want to start off with talking about is what's actually in our control in terms of health and wellness. What is important and what can we do? Well, we know that lifestyle is important, and as we've seen in the past few weeks, getting out into nature, going for walks, exercising every day is actually a really important thing. It's good for the soul, it's good for our fitness, and it actually makes us feel a lot better. In terms of community, we know that we feel a lot better if we're having brunch with friends, if we're talking to people every day, if we've got a sense of connection, if we've got a sense of that we are one with the world rather than being separate. Unfortunately, in our environment, we can only give what we have locally, you know, sort of globally and regionally, we don't have a lot of control over what's in our environment, what's being poured into our atmosphere, what's being poured into our seas. We're more conscious of that these days, but we've still got a lot of work to do on how we can actually control our environment around us. And so we're exposed to that every day, whether they be pollutants of the air or the water that we drink. And the last one I want to talk about is genetics. Now, everyone said, or in the past, they've said, look, it's in my genes, I can't do anything about it. Well, actually, that's wrong. We've actually now found that you can actually modify what you've been dealt with, which cards you've been given to promote a healthier life. So you do not need to be labored with whatever your mother had, or whatever your father had, or whatever your great-grandfather had. We have the power now to change our body at the cellular level using a genetic formula. And why do we want to do that? Because a lot of people have problems these days, whether that be that they don't get enough sleep, whether they just ache and pain all day, stressful, you know, it can be stressful lives within terms of jobs or anxiety, low energy and fatigue. And people want to age well, they want to live well, they want a healthy lifespan. So we talk about a health span these days rather than a lifespan. And a health span is when you can live for as long as you want, as healthy as you want. And that's the aim. You know, it's no use living 10 years longer if you're miserable for the last 5 years. So you want to live your absolute best for your longest ability possible. And I'm going to show you a few ways how tonight. We know that aging starts early. So from about the age of about 25, we start to go down the gurgler, I'm afraid. Reaction time slows. Our hearing, the high frequency tone declines in our early 20s. And we know that if you're a teacher or you've had children at school, that the teachers use that as a disciplinary tool. They use very high frequency tones that no adults can hear. And it's mind-blowing for the children. So we don't have those high frequency tones anymore. Our heart rate declines, our breathing capacity declines, our mineral content in our bones declines, and also does our muscle mass. So these are all parts of the body that are just starting to disintegrate and degrade with time. And what's causing that? Why does that happen? What is aging, and how does it cause? Well, the scientists went to their labs and they looked at the genes, or and you understand that genes form our DNA. Genes are the building blocks of our DNA. And our DNA is what we get half from our mother and half from our father that lives in the nucleus of our cells. They can actually have abilities to keep our bodies healthy. So they already have the mechanisms, they already have the ability, the instructions, as it were. They've got the master plan to say how to make you healthy. And then some really smart scientists found a way that they could activate these abilities. They found specific enzymes, and I'm going to be talking tonight about one specific enzyme which you make your own antioxidant enzymes in every single cell. So this is not taking antioxidants through diet, it's you making it by activating your genes in every single cell. And that science is called nutrigenomics. Nutri being nutrition, genomics is of the gene, nutrigenomics. So this is a huge new science, and that's why I'm so incredibly excited about this, because we now have the scientific backup to what people have known for a long time. Natural compounds have abilities to heal, and people have seen this over the decades, over centuries, over thousands of years. And because we've got the scientific backup now, it's got the validation, and people are starting to become aware. So you listening tonight will know more than a lot of your doctors, because this was not taught at medical school at all when I was at med school. So you'll be listening tonight to the forefront of modern medicine. And if you do have to ask a medical person about, what this is all about, the question to ask is, do you know about oxidative stress? And not people do. And I really would like you to go into your Google and have a look at oxidative stress, because basically it's rusting of the cells from the inside out. And we know that when you put an apple in on a bench, that it oxidizes, goes brown, and it goes rotten. What does it do to your cells? If you look on the right, you can see a nice normal cell with a border of blue, and it's nice and regular. Oxygen-free radicals, when they attack cells, they start to destroy the cell structure. And then if it becomes so much that the cell can no longer cope with it, it's what we call oxidative stress. So that's the rust of the cells. And if you look at that cell on the right compared to the cell on the left, it's not a pleasant sight. And you know that cells that are like that are not going to replicate normally. They're not going to function normally. So they're not going to give you the enzymes and the proteins and the functions that all your organs need in order to function. So you might say, well, what causes oxidative stress? I live a really healthy life. I eat well, I exercise. Actually, everything causes oxidative stress. Be that over-exercising, be that our Wi-Fi, be that pesticides, herbicides, microwaves, our environment, as we talked about before, unhealthy water. These all create oxygen-free radicals. And we know that oxygen-free radicals damage cells. And this is just an example, and it's very busy, so don't think you need to learn this or anything. But if you go to a place called pubmed.gov and look at oxidative stress, there are 230,000 published papers on oxidative stress. And this has increased, it's probably doubled in the last 2 years, because it's becoming a new way where people want to reduce it. They want to understand what it's all about and how they can combat it, because they know that this is one of the oldest theories of aging. We know that it's been very well established that oxidative stress causes damage. And if you look down the bottom of the universities and the institutions that have studied this and have actually put papers together specific to what I'm going to talk about tonight, the product, American Heart Association, Harvard University, Sanford, Texas Tech. So these are not just little universities. These are big players, and they have got a big role to play in the science behind this product. And so what we're talking about is activating or reactivating genes that were already there, that were there when you were young and that were working fine. But as you get older, they lose their ability to work. So we call it flipping the switch, because we have a pathway now that will flip that genetic switch. And it's quite complicated, and I don't want to go into too much detail tonight. But basically, I'm going to be talking about 3 ways. The protanum NRF2 synergizer, which acts on a pathway called the NRF2 pathway. The protanum NRF1 synergizer, which works at the mitochondria on an NRF1 pathway, and the probio. Together, we call that an activated essential, because we're not only targeting the genes with the NRF2, but we're targeting the mitochondria with the NRF1, and really importantly, the gut with the probio. So let's see what this protanum is made up of. And as you can see down the bottom, let's just have a look at these pictures. Turmeric. Now we know that it's a potent anti-inflammatory, and probably most of you tonight have tried turmeric because of your aches and pains. And if you're anything like me, I tried it and I really didn't see much benefit from it. But you combine it with milk thistle, which is a great liver cleanser and gallbladder cleanser. Green tea, which we know is an excellent antioxidant. Bacopa and ashwagandha are ancient Ayurvedic herbs, and bacopa is more for memory and anxiety, which ashwagandha is for that brain fog and also for anxiety. So these all put together in a combination are 18 times more effective than the individual agents alone. And that's shown on that graph over on the right there, where you see the little bars are the ones individually, and then that big bar on the very far right is the protanum when they're put together. So you can't just take a little bit of this and a little bit of that and a little bit of that and try and put it together. This is a patented formula. There are 7 patents to show that this formula acts on a specific genetic pathway in your cell, and it reduces oxygen free radicals because you make your own antioxidant enzymes in every single cell of your body. And so it's a huge, when I try and think of ways to explain it, it's like having a house fire and you're using a monsoon bucket rather than when you take things orally like blueberries, and that's like using a little syringe. So the scale of this is just phenomenal because you are actually working on your own body to be able to do what we really want to do, which is to reduce oxidative stress. And this is just a little example of what you would need in terms of antioxidants, which work on a 1-to-1, compared to Protandim, which works on a 1 to a million basis. So I always like the bottom line, and everyone always laughs at this, 87 glasses of red wine per day. We know that red wine's got resveratrol in, great antioxidant, but to get the same effect, that's the sort of scale that you will need to have. 120 tablets of vitamin C per day. 375 oranges, blueberries, 11 pounds of blueberries. So, and it's not age dependent. So if you look at the graph over on the right-hand side down the bottom, we've got without Protandim, as you age, we get more oxidative stress. The line goes up at an angle. But if you have Protandim, you can see at age 80, you can reduce your oxidative stress to the same level as if you're 40 or if you're 30. And that's been shown on blood tests. So this is not something that's just been plucked out of the air. These are blood tests that they took specific for oxidative stress. So no matter what your age is, you can reduce your oxidative stress by reactivating your genes. And this is what really put it over the line for me. This came from Washington State University in 2015, and they said that the effects of NRF2 are potentially the most extraordinary therapeutic and preventative breakthrough in the history of medicine. Now, for a big university to say something like this, we haven't seen anything like this since the advent of penicillin. So when I saw this and I read through the paper, I thought there is real medicine, there is real science behind this, and this is the way of the future. As I said before, Protandim is in a second compound, works at an NRF1 pathway, which is at the mitochondria. Now, if you remember from your biology days, mitochondria are like the breathing lungs of the cell. They produce all the energy. And if you haven't got energy of your cell doesn't function. The specific energy in cells are called ATP. But what they do is if they don't produce it, the mitochondria don't produce the right proteins or the enzymes that the cells require. So your cells don't do the functions that they're meant to. What happens? You lose your vitality. You haven't got, by the end of the day, no energy. So again, all 5 natural herbs, alpha-lipoic acid, coenzyme Q10, grape extract, quercetin, and acetyl L-carnitine, all put together on a specific formula to target the mitochondria in a specific way. And the two of them work together. So they're called a synergizer because a synergizer means that they act more together than they do the sum of their parts. So what happens is that the NRF1 opens up the mitochondria so the NRF2 can get in. And I know I'm talking a lot of science tonight, and please excuse me if I'm baffling you, but it's really important to understand, and I feel that's what my role is here tonight, is to educate you about what this is all about. I want you to understand what the science is behind these products and why they are so effective and what sort of evidence we have got, which is why everyone, I feel, should be on these. And as I said, the gut biome is incredibly powerful, and we know that if you have a leaky gut, you absorb toxins, and that contributes to a lot of health conditions. The good thing about this probio is it doesn't have to be kept in the fridge, and even more important is it have a special coating on it, which means that it survives the stomach acid. Most probios, when you take them, are dissolved in the very high acid stomach acid, even before they get to the intestine where they're meant to be. So this one can last up to 52 minutes. So it gets through the stomach, gets the intestine to where it's meant to be. And it also has a compound, which is important for immune health and important to feed those good bacteria so they replicate normally. Having said all of that, I want to, as I said, this is a scientific presentation. I want to educate you. I don't claim to heal or prevent or diagnose or mitigate any diseases. And, you know, I work individually. Yes, I'm a medical doctor, but I'm also a life advantage distributor, but that's because I believe in this and I have a passion for people's health and wellness. And I want to see people living the life that they want to do, doing the activities that they want. And I've been so successful so far in bringing joy to people. And to me, that's a huge part of what I do. And so just a summary of what you want to see when you take these products. Well, you'll probably see improved sleep. Now, none of these are guaranteed. So everybody is different, just like some of us have got brown hair, some of us have got blonde hair, and some of us are a bit grey or whatever. We're all different. So, but a lot of people get improved sleep virtually straight away. They don't get the aches and pains when they get up in the morning. They find that they've got more energy, better memory and focus. Their hair is healthier. I mean, I've been to the hairdresser and he keeps on saying to me, Gail, what are you doing? You've never had hair this thick. It's growing at such a rate. And he didn't even know. So these are independent people. My skin, the beautician says, Gail, you know, what are you doing to your skin? I don't have to do the hydrating facial that I usually have to do. So they are working at a cellular level, at a very deep level. So you do no longer need to do the things that you thought were good for you, because this is actually using your own body to heal yourself, and the anti-aging factor as well. So now I want to pass over to my very good friend, Raji Deva, and she's going to talk to you a little bit about the company and what its beliefs are and how it's structured and how to give yourself health in a holistic sense as well. Thank you, Raji.
I can unmute myself. That's awesome. Oh, thank you so much, Gail. That was so delicious. Look, I want to say it's really encouraging for me personally. I've been, a yoga teacher for 20 years. I've been doing holistic therapies such as Watsu, which is, water therapies with people, Shiatsu, Zen Shiatsu for many, many years, and, all sorts of various healing modalities. And in the last 10 years, I've seen so many traditional health practitioners, such as Gail, doctors, nurses, are moving towards holistic medicine. And I think for me in person, that's very, very encouraging. It's encouraging because essentially we do need to come back to Mother Nature and her bounty and her intelligence to really access the body and the potency of natural substances and in optimizing the body's function. So I've got a particular passion in natural medicine. And what Gail reviewed with you, if you don't mind me saying, Gail, is really talking about core issues, core health issues. So often we go to a doctor and they will treat symptoms with particular medication, and that medication will create other symptoms, even though it treats the first symptoms, and on we go with the chain effect. But the thing is, when we understand core issues such as gut health, such as oxidative stress, mitochondria dysfunction, and I really would love you maybe after this call or tomorrow when you have some time to actually Google, just as a practice, your health issues against oxidative stress or mitochondria dysfunction, and have a look at actually how much material is available there for you to see, and what core issues these are. These are issues that really needs addressing. And once they're addressed and they come back into balance and into their optimization, a lot of different symptoms just disappear and fall away. So this is really important. I think, who was it that said, you know, all health starts in the gut? Gail, do you remember? Was that, I think it's one of the Greek philosophers or the Greek doctors, a good few hundred years ago. What I wanted to talk to you about is, you know, our holistic view of health. And what I'm passionate about today, after 20 years of working in the field, is to also support people to not only offset the cost of these products, but to actually help other people and really change the trajectory of where we're going with pharmaceuticals. And I don't need to tell you that the number one or number two cause of death in America is pharmaceutical drugs. To actually help us change that paradigm, help people like me and Gail and Wendy and people who are holistic therapies and people who want to embrace a holistic approach into health, to support and help us into changing that paradigm. So I think personally, from what I have, from my personal experience in the last 2 years working with LifeVantage, that we have an incredible vehicle with this company to do so. So Wendy has allowed me to speak for 5 or 10 minutes about the company, just so I want you to know what kind of, you know, what's steering the wheel and on these products. So LifeVantage is a biomedical company. It's been around for over 10 years, I think 15 to be accurate. And it's listed on the New York Stock Exchange market. It's a NASDAQ traded company. So that means it's just above board, legal, and it's actually listed as one of the 200 most best companies worldwide. It was founded in 2003, so yeah, well over 15 years. At 2005, there was an ABC investigative primetime report that was kind of wanting to refute the product a bit, and the reporter did blood tests on himself for I think 2 weeks or so, and he was amazed at the results, and that appeared on live broadcast. So Wendy would be happy to send it to you if you want to see that report. And that night, the company was drowning in requests for the product. So they became huge overnight after releasing the reports on the blood test of this particular reporter. The projected market for this company now, it's the first nutrigenomic company on the market, is expected to reach, nutrigenomics product expected to reach 17 million by 2023. But our company alone, within 3 to 5 years, is expected to get to $1 billion company. So what we know is, and I know since the last 2 years that I've joined, we've opened, I think, about 6 or 7 countries. So we're now in 24 different countries worldwide. So the company is in a huge growth phase, and 86% of our sales are customers. So we're really here to serve people and to really transform the health future as we see it now, from pharmaceuticals to plant-based to natural solutions. I don't know if you know Erin Berkovich, but you probably know Julia Roberts, right? Julia Roberts had played a role being Erin Berkovich, who she's an incredible person who supported a huge community in America in lawsuits against the poisonous factors in their environment, and she won the court case. So she's joined our company, I think last year, that was, if not last year, the year before, but I'm pretty sure last year, 2019. It's right in front of me. Thank you. And and last year, actually it was this year in January, that our manager flew out to ring the NASDAQ bell together with our CEO in the amazing ceremony in New York. So that means our company is quite reputable and a lot of eyes on it, including, you know, shareholders and investors. It is going to go off. And the reason is because we, by the way, have about 1,000 doctors in our company now. The reason is because these products have scientific background. They are actually backed by science. They're backed by universities, by medical institutions. And, you know, I would never be able to drag Gail into this if she wasn't convinced that these products have legitimate grounds to be on the market, and say, you know, and advocate for it. So yeah, so we really like you to have a look at your own health. We would like you to see if you want to offset the cost of the products and you know, join Wendy and ourselves. We have an amazing team to support the mission of actually transitioning humanity to natural solutions. The business world today has changed. We don't necessarily have to have, you know, run to the office and have to have a secretary and run our own warehouse and do our own emails. We actually, all we need today, and I can tell you, I can attest to it, if I just had my phone, I could still be running my business from anywhere worldwide. Why? Is because the business world really has changed. And just as, you know, Facebook and Uber and, you know, all the services that you can now call for, you don't need to necessarily own anything. You just can connect people to the service and then, you know, make a living out of it. So I think that's an incredible, Airbnb is another example, right? This is an incredible sort of opportunity for you to join into a company that already has everything in place for you to just share on what we've got, just like Gail did in the first 10-20 minutes. And yeah, and support people with their health and also make a living from it, which is what what we're doing with Wendy in the past few months. We're basically educating people. As I've mentioned, we've opened in 24 countries such as China, Hong Kong, Japan, Thailand, Taiwan. We open in Austria, Belgium, Germany, that's in Europe, Spain, France, Ireland, Italy, Netherlands, and United Kingdom, and of course, Australia, New Zealand. New Zealand opened only last year, so it's a fresh new country. We have Canada, Mexico, and of course, the United States. So this is a business really that you can have globally. I just wanted to quickly just touch on you know, the income possibilities. Now, the reason that we wanted to let you know about this is because in Australia today, we've about 3 million people lost their jobs. Now, one of the sectors that got hit really, really hard is natural therapies. Because it's mostly one-on-one work, and, you know, involves hands, involves touch, involves like real close proximity with people. These therapies, these people were really damaged with their businesses. So even if you know someone who has been affected by the recent currents of, you know, COVID-19 and all the insanity that's going around at the moment, please let us know, let Wendy know, and we can support them through these times. We've had a lot of people come to us wanting to work from home, wanting to restore their livelihood, and we've been able to support them. So I think that's it really for us today. Gail, did you manage to unmute Wendy? Because that would be just lovely to hear her voice. I'm sure she's got a few things to say. Someone else is unmuted. Vera is unmuted. Vera, do you want to say something?
I'll say. I can't see you. Oh, okay. There you are.
I can see you.
Oh, you can see me. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
I have to thank Libby very much for introducing me to Life Vantage and taking these tablets. When Libby introduced me, she had, are you there? She had Energy Plus and she was bubbly out of her skin. And I thought to myself, if only I could have a quarter of what she had. Because during my 60s, I was starting to get lots of aches and pains, you know, swelling in the legs, restless legs. And, you know, I would hear people say, oh, I don't feel my age. And I used to say to myself, I feel every bit of 69, every bit. So anyway, after Libby told me about these tablets, I looked into them, I researched them, and the thing that made me so excited was it was natural therapy. The science was coming together with natural therapies, and that's just so exciting. And so I decided, I thought, well, I feel so bad, I will go on these tablets, and I committed myself for a year. So I bought the Platinum Pack, and the first month I did get those absolutely fabulous results. I slept much better. I had clearer vision, softer skin. The inflammation went down, and recovery time after sport was incredible because I play 6 hours a week table tennis.
Wow.
And whenever I played, it took me nearly a week to recover before I went back again. So after doing that, and the inflammation was so much better. And so, you know, as Gail said, we all take different, you know, levels of time to get over whatever our symptoms are. And the first month I felt terrific, and I kept going, you know, taking the tablets. I had them all in front of me. And then, you know, I didn't say anything to anyone. And it wasn't until I saw a friend who I hadn't seen for a year. And she said to me, God, Wendy, you look so much better than you did 5 years ago. And I thought, my goodness, these must be working. So that's the first time I actually mentioned these tablets, NRF1, NRF2, that I was taking them because someone could see the difference. I felt the difference, but when you look at yourself every day in the mirror, you don't really see as much as other people who haven't seen you for a while.
That's right.
So I used to hate walking up the stairs in my home every day. I used to go down and stay there. Once I woke up, I would take all my things down and I wouldn't walk up the stairs because I hated it. I ached. But now I can go up and down 5 times a day. And I feel much, much better. I have so much more energy. I feel alive again. And when people say to me, how old are you? I'll say, I'm 70, but I feel 50. So I do feel much, much better. And if I can help anyone or share what's happened to me, you know, all we do is share, you know, and if we hear people have ailments, we want to help them. So, you know, as we have wonderful people in our team and they mentor us, they will help you 24 hours a day. You can get help from this business. So if you want good health, I would recommend Life Vantage 100%. And so thank you everyone for coming. I wish I could see you all, but thank you.
I'm going to send you a screenshot of everyone. Anyone wants to say anything back to Wendy or has any questions or want to express anything, or that's fine if not. Okay, awesome.